past. Let's get a bit more on how this rather sad development is playing out. We'll start off at her residence where my colleague Grace Konadu Agyeman is stationed and bring you a bit more on this. Grace, tell us what you're picking up from Nana Konadu's residence.
You can go. The circle touring link here at Ridge is the residence of the Rawlingses, and it is just some few minutes drive away also from the Ridge Hospital, where it is reportedly said that the former First Lady Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings was on admission after a prolonged illness and now has been called to rest or is now reported dead. The scene here at the residence is quite solemn and calm. We only see media men who might have also heard the news of her demise coming here just as is suspected of them. The military or the security presence or the security personnel here tell us that we are not allowed to film so close to the residence, and so we are here right opposite the residence, and the information, they don't have information of what has happened, but as reports are saying, the former First Lady Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings was on admission at the Ridge Hospital and she has died. She was the former First Lady or the First Lady of Ghana from 1981 to 2001, and she is known for her establishment of the 31st December Women's Movement in 1982, which was established to help women in political participation, education, and also for entrepreneurship. Her last public appearance was when she attended the funeral of the Asante Hima in the Asante Kingdom in the Ashanti region. We also know that before that she was at the wreath laying ceremony where for the funeral of the 8 who died in the helicopter crash. And so just as you heard it, yes, reports indicate that the former First Lady Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings has passed on. We have not received any official information or notice from the residence or the house, which is right behind me, but the scene here is that media men from various media houses are gathering here. We see some vehicles going in and out of the house and nobody is speaking to us yet, but the scene here definitely looks like there's something that's going on and people are also interested. A few of the residents who live here, you also see one or two of them gathered in front of their homes. Because the area is a security area, you don't see a lot of action, but you can smell the scene here that a few of the residents who live here are standing in ones or in pairs, probably discussing what they have also heard in the media. So that is the scene currently here at the residence of the Rawlingses, where Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings is reportedly dead. Their home is some few minutes away from the Ridge Hospital or the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, like I earlier mentioned, where she was reportedly on admission until she died. Back to you in the studio.
Very well, Gracie. Thank you so much for bringing us that from the residence of Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. If you just joined us, we're just hearing of breaking news this hour that the former First Lady, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, has passed. And as you heard Gracie talk to us about some of the things that she's done, her death, as we hear now, is coming roughly about 5 years after the passing of her husband, Ghana's first president of the Fourth Republic, Jerry John Rawlings. Let's tell you a bit more about the former First Lady. We will say that she is a Ghanaian politician. You heard Grace talk about how much she loved the 31st December Women's Movement, which she founded back in 1982, not only to empower women, but also to rally support for the political period of the time. We very well know that she served as First Lady from 1971 and 1981. Then in 2000, where the NDC lost the election, ushering in a new party, we also know about the vast work she did with the women of the 31st December Women's Movement across all 10 regions of this country, nearly in every district of this country. Almost every market woman was part of the 31st December Women's Movement. And I'll tell you a bit more as, you know, our coverage of her passing progresses. But Agyeman-Rawlings is also known for running for president in 2016, making her the first woman to do so in this country. She was born on November 17th, 1948. In Cape Coast, Ghana. She received her secondary education at the Chimotu School, where she met her future husband, Jerry John Rawlings. She studied art and textiles at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and then earned a diploma in interior design from the London College of Arts, among other qualifications in management and philanthropy. We also know that she did an 18-month internship in Switzerland. Now, she served as First Lady during her husband's 10 years as head of state and president, and that's why we talk about 1979 to 1982, thereabout. And then it also continues formally when when the Fourth Republic is set in motion in 1992, where she stayed, not in office, but she stayed on as First Lady from that period until 2000. She also became the first vice chair of the NDC back in 2009. She challenged President John Evans Atta Mills for the party's flag bearership in 2011. Of course, we know the history that came along with that. She couldn't make that cut. She later left the party to form her own with a very similar name to the party her husband helped found, which is the National Democratic Party, NDP. She was the first female to run for president on the ticket of the NDP in that 2016 general election. She's done so much for women from across the country. There was no election in this country up until the 2000s that a 31st December Women's Movement didn't play a crucial role. I want to take you back in time a few years ago when she sat down with our Johnny Hughes. Let's hear her in her own words.
But it has a lot of information. You should go out there and grab your copy. It Takes a Woman. So the title of the book, It Takes a Woman, talks about your connection to the Asante leadership, the Queen Mother, and all of that, how they have shaped their sons to govern and rule and all of that. How is that? Maybe you'd want to throw a bit of more light on that for us.
Yeah. The title itself is a bit, you look at it and I'm at the back there, and you think I'm just going to talk about myself.
Right.
But the title is really to show that it really does take a woman to get things going, whether it's in the home, whether it's in the school. If you have more women in your factory, trust me, your factory will do better. If you give women the strength, they will work better. But to throw it back to what you said, in the Ashanti system, the woman is key.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you go to the that's why it's matrilineal, actually. So if you go to the kingdom or the chieftaincy institution, you will find that the strength of the woman sort of directs everything. So the Queen Mother is has all the strength, not just strength, but the capacity and capability to be the custodian of tradition. She knows who should do what should happen when. So she kind of directs, but she always takes a kind of a step back. She doesn't throw it in their faces. So even though the king himself is so powerful, it takes a woman to nurture him and put him there. So I'm kind of playing around with this, but at the same time, in every home, it takes a woman for the home to be a disciplined home.
Was that the case in your situation?
It was the case. It was the case.
So President Rawlings, for example, if he had a major decision to take, that would impact on the life of the people, you know, forever. I mean, most of his projects are out there. You had to guide him.
I thought you meant home as home.
Home, yes.
Yes.
Home as home. Because when he appears, like Mr. Bembrako said, you went out to dance and all of that. I'm sure you'd have influenced, pushed him a bit and said,
no, if he asks my opinion on something, I will freely give it. If he doesn't ask my opinion on it, and maybe I hear it and I have an opinion on it, that I think may help in some way, I'll give it.
Right.
It's up to him to take it or not. But I thought you were talking about the home itself.
Right, the home itself.
The home itself.
The home itself, raising your children, what to put where,
absolutely,
how to manage what. That was your turf. That was your corner.
That was my corner. But if he asks my opinion on issues, I'll give it.
Right.
Because I think that it is right so to do.
Yesterday was Ghana's 62nd birthday. You were missing for good reason. But a lot of people, young people hear about 1957 and they're thinking, what really happened during that time? You lived through the period.
I did.
What do you remember?
I think it was a very joyous time. I didn't understand it too much, you know. All I knew was that the Governor General would be leaving.
Right.
And President Nkrumah, who was then Prime Minister, was going to take over. And that...
sorry about that.
I'm sorry about my... things are going to get better for us as a nation. And we're not going to be exploited anymore. It was a happy time on that day, maybe a day before and into that day, and maybe a day or two after. It was as if the whole country was on holiday. You know, merrymaking, fireworks, 3 nights of fireworks. Right. I mean, which was happening around the Turf Club at the time. And we lived just behind the Turf Club, so it was easy to see all the fireworks. And the bust of Nkrumah was made, and it was, you know, with the Queen's bust in fireworks, and it was amazing. So, yes, it was an interesting time, and you live it and hope that indeed all that we were being told would be the, you know, for the future.
What was growing up around that time when colonialism was in disequilibrium and the struggle for independence had taken center stage? It was forceful at the time. What was growing up as a child like?
I didn't feel it. You know, even though one of my uncles was working directly with Dr. Nkrumah, I didn't feel it as one going out and one coming in. But sometimes, you know, you have leaflets being thrown from a plane, and people within the household will say, oh, these are leaflets from Dr. Nkrumah. It didn't make too much sense, but we believed it. And usually it was to say how, it was to talk about cleanliness, or to talk about not wasting water and stuff like that. But all in leaflets, you know, it sort of
was just there like that. Interesting.
So I wasn't in the midst of the activity towards independence. It was just the days of 2 days before, maybe 2 days after, and the radio stations, the radio itself, it was just the box radio, by the way. The radios but they were very crisp, extremely, very clear. And the news readers, the excitement in their voices and all that, these are things you can pick up.
Right. Yeah. I'm looking at page 80 of 280 of the book, for the chapter titled Hope Rising. And it says, our mothers, like many Ghanaians, saw the filth and hated it, lived in the crumbling economy and were shaken by it, yet only hoped that someone or something would someday change it for the better. I want to connect this to 1957. When independence was declared, Ghana was touted as the beacon of hope.
It was.
Then by 1966, we had seen rubbish lined up across the streets, flowing along with the water and getting into the sea and all of that. How did we drop or sink so low from the beacon of hope to being flat on our backs?
I think that we can take it from 66 into,
Right.
you know, the heaps of garbage that we used to see, like mountains, up to 1982. It was just growing and getting worse. I can only say that it was a very sad moment for some of us.
Okay.
Because I lived in Rage. I saw what it was like.
Okay.
I saw how, I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but when somebody is given a responsibility, they do it and do it well. Where the person in charge of parks and gardens can come and measure your hedge and tell you that the hedge is too high.
They used to do that?
Yes, and you trim it, you actually shape it the way they want it. So everything was immaculate. Nobody was allowed to build walls. You needed to have a hedge.
Okay.
And of course it flowered and you know, things were nicer then. It was only after 1966 that people started building walls. I don't know why. But we started building walls, and then now the wall is the thing. I mean, you hardly find anybody with a hedge for the sake of a hedge. So
in managing our waste, the President of the Republic had said that, look, in the next year, by which time his tenure would have expired, Accra should be the cleanest city in Africa. Is it a myth, a dream that can become a reality? What is it?
It can only be a reality when there is some... we don't just say it, but we act it.
Okay.
There's a minister for sanitation.
Absolutely.
We see her in the news all the time, and I think she's doing what she can. But she also has a program, a plan. I do not think that it is a myth, because it can be done. But it's got to be done with all the force, with a lot of force. All the forcefulness that we can all master.
Right.
And education. While we are educating and there's force from the ministry and the rest of us, we should let the populace know that you can't just throw paper wherever you want. You can't throw your bottles wherever you want. You know where my office is? There's I think a little clinic very close to the office. And they bring their rubbish and dump it across the street. This week I'm going to try and write a letter to the AMA to go and ask them to come and collect it. Because nobody says anything, then it's building up. Another person will say, okay, now we can. Then he said, I've lived in Ridge since I was like maybe 7 years. I've seen the way it used to be. I've seen how it's been. I've seen the deterioration, and it's
Does
sad.
it break your heart?
It does.
Your father, you spoke fondly about him in your book. You called him D.
Yes, his wife called him D, so we all called him D. We didn't even know that it was a short form of darling or my dear, or I don't know. So we all, you know.
You spoke fondly about your parents. What influence did they have on you to become what you became, being the first lady, subsequently championing women agenda across the world?
The influences were many and very strong. Not just from my father, but also from my mother. Because really, it takes a woman to nurture a home, right? Very, very, you know, it's like we were many girls. So they kept a strong iron fist on us. But it is the upbringing, the do's and don'ts. What makes somebody into a formidable person? Why you don't go a certain way? Why you don't say certain things? Why you respect your adults? What you do, how you dress up, everything. So they kind of helped us or shaped me the way I am.
Your father, for example, wouldn't condone you killing a lizard or any other insect.
If you're not going to eat it.
Yes, if you're not going to eat it, why?
Yeah.
And he liked to do to go hunting as well and all of that. Your mother was a strict one because of her educational, background and all of that. But how your father had a lot of political class friends. How did he manage to walk a very fine line to maintain both sides and yet kept a very fine line?
It was a very interesting phenomenon, I'll say. My dad had 52 brothers and sisters.
52?
Yes.
Wow. That's a country.
Maybe a village. And so some
Heaven knows how we will get. It won't be hard, we know, and the road will be mighty and long, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. We are going, heaven knows how we will get there. We know it will be hard, we know, and the road will be mighty and long, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. It won't be hard, we know, and the road will be mighty and long, but we'll get. Heaven knows how we will get. We will get there. Heaven knows how we will get. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be hard, we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get. We know.
Well, now you still are continuing coverage of the passing of Ghana's former First Lady, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, whose death, we are told, occurred in the last hour or so of today. We're still on the ground, really, doing as much as possible to bring you all the information. But over here in the studio, Godwin and Anita are on the other side. And ladies and gentlemen, very sad afternoon for us, isn't it?
It certainly is, Kamini. Not the kind of afternoon, like I said, we were expecting. We came on the show hoping to have a good time, and hearing this is rather sad. And it's interesting that Anita and I were talking about her the day...
I think a few weeks ago,
a few weeks ago,
yeah,
on the day of the burial of the Asante Hema, and how strong she still seems, and still showing up at public events. And to hear this is rather sad. Fond memories, for me, I think that I got to know who the former First Lady was when I was probably in JSS, and she was like... for me, she led the movement for women empowerment, honestly. As a little boy back then, I didn't know what women empowerment was and why women needed to be empowered. But Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings led that charge. You hear of the 31st December Women Movement. You hear of different things. A lot of market women. My mom, who used to go to the market, used to be a big fan of her. And so, yeah, Anita.
Absolutely. And I think we grew up hearing some of these stories. And fast forward to in the last few years, she being one of the few women to be bold enough to say that I'm vying for the biggest office, to become the president of the country, which I think was such a bold move. And it inspired a lot of women like myself. And so to hear this news and to have to go through this, again, it's quite heartbreaking. Really, really heartbreaking.
It is.
But we're hoping that the family and children would definitely find solace in the Lord. And our condolences to the entire family as well, Godwin.
Yes, indeed.
Our condolences indeed. And, you know, while we mourn, we also celebrate the life that she's lived. Because, Godwin, you were talking about the 31st December Women's Movement and how she rallied a lot of women, not only for political causes, but more importantly, to advocate for their rights also. There's not a moment that she's not advocated for the rights of women by her own action, her involvement directly in politics. Anita talked about how she surfaced as a candidate in the 2016 election, how she was a vice chair of the party that, you know, her husband, the former president, Jerry John Rawlings, helped found as well. So by her own action, by her own life, she has advocated for women. She's also directly advocated for women with things like the 31st December Women's Movement. What many people do not remember, perhaps, is how the DWM had nursery schools, many of them around, because of the importance, the nexus between being a woman, being a mother, and then also raising children and having your own career at the same time. They had a whole lot of them. In my community where I grew up, there was a DWM nursery school there, and it was important for the women who had their children there to have that environment for their children at the time. So she was a very significant woman in Ghana's politics. In fact, there are those who say that if you want to know the iron women of this country, she would take the top position.
Yes,
in fact, there was a time that she was being compared with Margaret Thatcher of the UK. Yeah. Very, very significant woman, really. Herself, Teresa Amelitego and Hawa Kumsin, the Iron Ladies of Ghana's politics. We cannot miss that. We cannot underestimate. We cannot overestimate. However you look at it, it is good. And we see her in that video. Listen, that's also the lighter side of her. Yeah. As much as she is strict, she doesn't only come across as being very strict or a disciplinarian. She is that person. But she also has her moments where she's very happy, you know, and what we are seeing on the screen at the moment is one of those happy moments beside her husband and, you know, the gentle giant, the former president, when she gets her high life music. Because, you know, in that performance was Daddy Lumba. So when she gets her high life music, she dances to the beat, and she dances quite well.
It's quite interesting. I didn't see that soft side of her a lot.
I think
you
I saw
did
that
it.
quite often.
I hardly saw that soft side of her.
I saw that quite often. Yes, I did. And it was one aspect of her that made us feel like, okay, out of all the strictness and then she being, you know, quite a disciplinarian, there's that soft side as well. And her fashion sense is one that my mom and I always also talk about. Yeah. The fact that she never gets it wrong.
Yeah, and the so signature, you know, the signature headgear.
Yeah,
right. She's had it for as long as I remember her. You know, from as young as when I was a child, because then I would see her in the newspaper every now and then. She's had the headgear. She's formed a personality around that. If you went to a nursery school where you acted a lot of plays, if you did that, everybody knew who you were trying to mimic. And so Nana Konadu's influence is very far-reaching. I haven't seen any other person in Ghana's politics, female so to speak, have such far-reaching influence on young people and women in this country.
Yes,
Right.
indeed.
Yeah.
And just going on that tangent, she really led by example. I was wondering how she could juggle being a mother of 4 beautiful, children, and also be a wife, and then be a leader or someone leading a political party. I mean, the woman is really an Iron Lady like you described.
Absolutely, and she made it look so effortless. The fact that you're juggling all of these activities and still make appearances, almost every single national event, you see her present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well. Kamini.
Absolutely, absolutely, Godwin and Anita. What we see on the screen beside our faces now is the residence of Nana Konadu, of the Rawlingses really, where Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings lived. And as we heard from our reporter earlier, Godwin and Anita, cars are going in and out of the compound. Neighbors who may have heard of the news as it broke on TV3 are also starting to stand outside their compounds, their homes, to perhaps catch a glimpse of what could happen at the family home. Because, I mean, when someone passes it culturally, the home is where people gather first. And so it's what we are seeing there is beginning to look like people are getting the attention, or what has been, reported already, that people are starting to gather there. It's not just the media, but also the cars going in and out of the house, the neighbors who are, coming out of their homes to learn, why are the media people here? Or perhaps they have also heard on TV3 or on 392.7 FM that indeed the former First Lady, our beloved Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, has died. And so there you have it, some live pictures. If you could get some sound also from there, we hear what's going on as well. Yeah.
Kamini, so
Sights and sound from the residents of the Rawlingses. If you just joined us, this is our continuing coverage of the passing of Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, who we've started this coverage in the last hour or so, maybe 2, when we heard the news of her passing. And we've just brought you from the residence where our reporters tell us that indeed there appears to be that the news is starting to circulate, and tiny events are going on at the household, and we'll continue to tell you more about that as we gather them. We also have our reporters stationed at the hospital where she reportedly passed. We'll get you more information as to what's going on there as well. Right now, however, we want to take you back in time. Remember that Godwin, Anita, and myself, as we've been talking, we talked about how in 2016 she stood for president on the ticket of the NDP, the party she founded after exiting the NDC. You get how similar the names are, NDC and NDP. She was outdoored as the first presidential candidate on the ticket of that party. Here's that moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Electoral Commission, I do hereby declare Her Excellency Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings duly elected as the flag bearer of the NDP.
2012, I was talking about people over politics. And today, 2016, I will say it again, that I have never been one to do what is just popular over what is right. Because I am and will always be guided by a moral obligation to support the needs of the people over the interests of politics. Yes, people over politics. That is what our party stands for. That is the NDP, National Democratic Party, founded on the belief of placing people and the needs of the ordinary Ghanaian at the center of our nation's development. Placing people at the center of development means reclaiming the meaning of genuine citizens' democracy, where the best ideas are harnessed at the community level rather than the current top-down mode of governance that has deprived our communities of their freedom.
We'll bring you more sound clips and video clips from Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, but I want to connect with an equally important woman who not only worked closely with Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, but they were also in the same school, Achimota School, back in the day. Madam Joyce Ayi, she's founder of Salt and Light Ministry. Well, Reverend Doctor, I appreciate your time with us this afternoon, but on a rather sad note.
Very sad news. Very sad news.
I see.
Very sad news.
I see. How did the news come to you?
A friend just told me that there was breaking news. And she actually showed it to me. I was shocked. So I even asked my son to find out from one of the daughters whether that was true. I'm really saddened. Yeah. A woman of substance, a woman of courage.
Indeed.
Someone who has, was very passionate about empowering women, making sure that women had not only a voice, but women also were able to play their rightful role at levels of society, at all levels. Starting from the farm level to the woman selling on the street, right up to people in politics, women in politics. And I like the legacy she has left, It's a good thing that we remember her, among other things, as somebody who really stood for the empowerment of women. And when she had the opportunity, she had opportunity and she used the opportunity well. When her husband was in office, both in the PNDC and then when we transitioned into a democratic dispensation, she worked relentlessly with the president, the 31st Women's 24 years, now I'm growing old. But and then, she herself bravely put herself out as a possible head of state. Yeah. So she put her very self and her energies where her mouth was. She wasn't only interested in empowering others, but she felt that she could set the example. You don't always get that kind of courage, to stick to the things that you believe in. But I think that is what she stood for. If she believed in something, she did not mind going all the way to make sure that it happened.
I mean, you had the chance, right? Reverend Doctor, go ahead.
I beg your pardon?
Yes, I mean, you had the chance to be in a Achimota School with her. Take us back into time and tell us some of the fond things you remember about her.
Oh, well, I remember everything about her. She was a fantastic athlete, sprinter, and a hurdler. She did sprinting, she did hurdles, and she did high jump. And it wasn't just for the school alone. When she went to K University, she was doing the same thing. And even though he had asthma, it did not stop her from being very engaged in sports, not only in athletics, but also in hockey. We did rounders at netball. She was very active. Yes. I think that there was something about her that, like Hawk, you couldn't put her down. She was engaged. I think her spirit was like that.
Right.
She was engaged in many things. And we really thank God. If there's any legacy she has left, what we should remember of her is that when you strongly believe in something, you will have opportunity to really make it work. And that is something that we should be to. It's something, it's good to remember her for all the things she did and how she impacted many other women to stand strong.
Right.
It's very important. That's a wonderful legacy. It's a wonderful legacy.
Doug, what was the one thing you'd walk away with after you encountered Nana Konadu?
I guess I have known her so long that there are many things I walk toward. But as I said, one thing I would like to remember Nana Konadu by is that she was a person of strong conviction, and she was brave and bold enough. She had sufficient courage to actually not only stand for what she believed in, but also make every effort to make things happen. That's what I'd like to remember her by.
Right. We're having a discussion in the studio earlier, and one of the hosts had said that I haven't seen her outside of her disciplinarian personality. Was there a lighter side to Nana Konadu?
Was there what?
Was there a lighter side to her?
Oh my goodness. You couldn't play any danceable tune and not get her to dance. He loved dancing. It doesn't matter whether it's rock and roll, whether it's reggae, you will get her to dance. That's the lighter side of her. But he loves to laugh also. He loves to laugh, She was friendly and engaging, And she would laugh at little things. I think she really had a life. I think that she was true to herself and the others. If she didn't like something, you can be sure that she would give you a frown and she wouldn't pretend. Pretense was not in her vocabulary. And sometimes I would pinch her and say, oh, you don't do that. I don't do that. It is that kind of thing. She stood for what she believed in. If she didn't like you, she wouldn't pretend she liked you. Which was funny, thinking that she was in politics. If you are in politics, you have to like so many people. But she didn't mind, especially if she felt that you were dishonest, if she felt that you lacked integrity, if she felt that you were a slanderer, somebody who slandered others. Her spirit could not stand such things. And she would even tell it to your face that you went somewhere and you insulted me and now you see me, you want to talk to me. She would even tell you that. Easily without batting an eyelid.
It's a sad moment,
but
there
are not many people like that. Sometimes you think that such a person is abrasive. And I think she felt so strongly about things like being truthful, being honest, and really relating well, that it didn't matter to her. Yeah.
It's a sad day, but
your preachers say, "Oh, did you have to do that?"
Right.
Oh, darling, then she would easily say that. and then laugh about it.
It's a sad day, but we also celebrate the life and the impact she's had. And then
we have to remember her for the many good things that she did when she had the opportunity to do so.
Indeed.
I think that is really we should celebrate her as somebody who so strongly believed in giving opportunity for people to advance in life, especially women. And as I said, when she had the opportunity, she was a great mobilizer. And she changed the lives of many people. Many people. A lot of people became assertive. You know, a lot of people became entrepreneurs. A lot of people readily stood for what they believed in politics, all because of the example she gave. And I think celebrating such a life is important. I know Ghanaians like to cry a lot, but I think we should really celebrate her as somebody who during her lifetime made a significant impact on many lives. Male, female, children, grown-up, and
Very
so
well.
on.
Speaking of children, Reverend, hold the line for me because we're seeing the first sighting of Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings' children at the Jubilee House. We want to show our viewers that picture from the Jubilee House. Let's take a look at that now. Well, you see in your shorts, Kimasi Rawlings there. We also see one of the daughters as well. I'm unsure if that's Amina or Zaneto. That is definitely not Zaneto Rawlings, but it's definitely one of the Rawlings daughters in the company of some relatives. We'll get our correspondent at the Jubilee House to give us details of what we are seeing on the screen at the moment. Kamala, talk to us. This afternoon, we're seeing the first sightings of the Rawlings kids at the Jubilee House. We imagine is in connection with the passing of our beloved First Lady, former First Lady, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. What more can you tell us?
Well, the family has given notification to His Excellency the President, to the Chief of Staff on the incident that happened in the early hours of this morning, just a short while ago. Dr. Zaneto Agyeman-Rawlings, who is the first child of former First Lady and the late Head of State Jerry Rawlings, together with the brother and the former National Security Coordinator Larry Deblolati, and one of the elders of the family accompanied her to the seat of government just a short while ago. Of course, they needed to give a very, very quick intervention in terms of information to the government because news already had started circulating on social media. And so they were there, they did not make any comments on it except to, with the pictures that we are seeing on screen now, going to give some information or notification to the president on it. Later, we are told that the president himself likely would be making comments on this. We know the relationship between the former First family and the current head of state, and also because she, together with the late husband, statesman or statesman and a stateswoman, and so the handling of this the handling of this would have to be in a much much more coordinated and also official manner. But confirmation is that yes, indeed, they came to the presidency and reported to them on the happenings that occurred in the early hours of this morning.
Kamla, how's the presidency responding to this news?
Well, it's a mixed reaction. Many of them did not expect this. They never saw this coming. But yes, of course, it has happened. And I mean, a lot of the people, especially the female appointees and also civil servants who work here at the Jubilee House or the seat of government, their reaction is to the extent that, yes, the role that Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings has played in the life of women or females in this country cannot be underestimated. Just last week, the president was in Beijing, marking the 30 years of that Beijing conference, and also represented the country of the African Union on as the chairperson of the Gender Committee of the African Union, forcefully making that case of where women should be placed when it comes to world politics, when it comes to governmental affairs, when it comes to also the role they have to play in society. There's a need for a real look at how they have come to, and also what sort of help or motivation the world will be giving them. Mind you, this was under the auspices of the Chinese head of state Xi Jinping and his wife, First Lady Lordina Mahama, took part in that, heavily supported by the husband, John Dramani Mahama. And so all of these are discussions that people have been holding around the Jubilee House regarding the role that she has played in the life of women in this country. The 31st December Women's Movement, many have said that without her, women will not have a voice. Mm-hmm. Hitherto, it used to be the case where the place of the woman was just the kitchen, but because she stood firm, the women now have a voice to the extent that they can even rub shoulders with men when it comes to exerting their authority and mandate when it comes to the governance of this country. And so her role as a former First Lady and also an activist, a gender activist, cannot be underestimated. These are the discussions. Once again, the country has lost a very, very important personality, not just any individual, but a former First Lady who was a gender activist and stood up when it mattered most for the voice of females or women to be heard in this country.
I see, Komla, should we expect any official communication anytime soon?
Well, we're going to have to wait a little bit because, I mean, the news was just broken to the seat of government or to the presidency, even though news of it was right this morning, especially with postings on social media. We're going to have to just wait a little bit to find out the next line of action. But officially, the head of state will inform the country on it, just as the family has given a briefing to him. The expectation is that the president will communicate to the country regarding the sad incident.
Very well, Komla. We'll leave it here for now. Keep an eye on developments as they emerge around the passing of Ghana's former First Lady. Thank you so much, Komla. Komla Kluche is our Jubilee House correspondent. It's still our continuing coverage of the passing of Ghana's former First Lady, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. We've just seen in that shot Zaneto Rawlings, Dr. Zaneto Rawlings. I had, misidentified her earlier, together with Kimathi, in the company of some relatives to inform the presidency of the passing of their mother and the former First Lady of this country. We'll now also go to Parliament, where our parliamentary affairs correspondent has been seeking some reactions from the MPs there. Let's join Christian Yale quickly and get a bit more on how Parliament is reacting to this. Christian, what can you report?
when you get here, because just yesterday we saw the Member of Parliament for Kwale Klote in the chamber, and even the day when the House reconvened from recess, she was around. And so for this news to have come to Members of Parliament on both sides, it is actually one sad one for them indeed, because I think just around when the President delivered the State of the Nation address recently or earlier this year, she was around, and she's been at a number of public functions as well, where we've seen Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. Recently, during that funeral of the late Asante Hima as well, she was spotted around. And so this is actually a surprise news, not so tasteful, because then it's in a way would alter how things flow here in Parliament. Actually, the news has reached members of Parliament who are around. Very shortly, the House would convene to begin to discuss a number of matters that are before the House. But what we know is that definitely there is going to be a statement to be made by any of the members of Parliament, especially from the majority side, those who caucus with Honorable Zaneto Agyeman-Rawlings, who has today lost the mother, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. And so that is how things are panning out here in Parliament. And very shortly, like I said, we are actually about to enter the chamber of Parliament to gauge the mood there, and also to get a number of the members of Parliament. Just a while ago, you had the minority addressing a presser, and after that, I mean, off record, before we came on air, we had some of the MPs chit-chatting and having some minor conversations around this news that has reached them, many of which are already expressing their, profound condolences with the Member of Parliament. I have personally also attempted to get in touch with her, and even through her personal assistant, but none of that has proven successful as of yet. And so we'll still try to see and understand and get some reactions from members of Parliament, especially from both sides of the House, and how things have been. And you know that heretofore, most of the time, Honorable Zaneto Agyeman-Rawlings has become a subject of, conversation, especially around issues of ministerial appointment and the rest, and some statements that are made, especially from the minority side, which some even have deemed them to be unfortunate and what have you. But really, this news about the loss of her mother is one that really wouldn't come with all of those issues, but would be one that would attract and call for condolence messages from across the divide, irrespective of one's political affiliation. So indeed, I can confirm to you that here inside the presence of Parliament and around the chamber and inside the Job 600 building where I am right now, the news has reached here that indeed Ghana has lost a great personality in the person of Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, and the direct effect on her daughter, who is a member of Parliament for the Kwale Klote constituency. So pretty shortly, we'll be coming back to you with some reactions from some of the members of Parliament. And indeed, and as we have seen in all past circumstances, this is not to remind people of their sorrow, but when that shocking news of the passing of the Akwatia MP, Ernest Yaokumi, happened like this, in fact, that particular day, because that was a sitting member of Parliament and it was a direct blow to Parliament, we had Parliament, for instance, adjourning, unlike how they used to do their things, which was more or less like just a brief sitting. The announcement which was done, which subsequently called for some messages from both sides of the House, and right after that, the Speaker had to adjourn sitting so that members of the House would have enough time to more or less condole with the family and also to reconvene the next day. I'm not exactly sure that is what is going to play out today, also because it is not a member.
We'll have you go back into the chamber, Christian, so you could get us those reactions from inside the chamber. We hear the bell already tolling for the MPs to return to the chamber. So we'll leave you to go in there and bring us updates as they emerge. If you've been with us since the beginning, you had my conversation with our Jubilee House correspondent, Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, when I asked him if there's been official communication from the presidency yet regarding the passing of Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. He said at the time there wasn't. Now we know there's been communication from the Minister for Government Communication, Felix Kwakye-Ofosu. Let's go back to our correspondent, Komla Kluchi, and learn what the presidency is saying about this. Well, you have it on your screen at the moment. Komla, if you can hear me, talk to me and really talk to us about what the government has been saying.
Government has communicated the sudden demise of the former First Lady, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. The presidency a short while ago released a statement which was signed by Felix Kwakye-Ofosu MP, who is a spokesperson to the government, and the Minister for Government Communications issued a statement that the passing of Mrs. Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings government announces with deep regret and profound sorrow the untimely passing of former First Lady and founder of the 31st December Women's Movement, Her Excellency Mrs. Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. Mrs. Rawlings passed this morning after a short illness. Government extends its deepest condolences to immediate family. Signed, Felix Kwakye-Ofosu MP, spokesperson to the President, Minister, Government Communications. So news keeps breaking, and just on the spur of the moment, just shortly, the family had informed government of it. Government has issued a statement to confirm that yes, indeed, the former First Lady, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, who once remains the founder of the 31st December Women's Movement, died this morning shortly after an illness. So,
indeed, Komla, and for
communication.
And indeed, for the first time since the news broke, we are starting to get a sense of when she actually passed today. Remember that the news came in through our wires after midday. So it was hard to tell when exactly she had passed. Now government's communication is giving us a sense of when this may have happened, when they say in that letter that she passed away this morning after a short illness. But Komla, the visit by the family, Kimathi, Dr. Zanetta Rawlings, is not only because she, Nana Konadu is or was, she is a former First Lady, so to speak, but it's also because of the relationship the current government has with the Rawlingses. Is that correct? Well, my understanding is we've lost our correspondent on the line. We'll raise him back and then speak a bit more on that relationship between the NDC and Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. But as you very well know, she played a crucial role rallying the female vote. She played a crucial role being the backbone of Ghana's presidency from 1992 to 2001 when it was handed over to the NPP, because her husband, Jerry John Rawlings, was president at the time in the first, the Fourth Republic. If you take it to the Republic before then you say that there was also the period of 1982, and that was the time when the 31st December Women's Movement was actually formed. And I wonder if I still have Reverend Dr. Joyce Ayi over the phone, because there's been a lot of mention of 31st December Women's Movement, but really for somebody who had lived through that period, was crucial also in that movement, what she could tell us about the vision that birthed the DWM, the work, the extent of work that they had done over the years, because it's easy to put it all under one umbrella and talk about women's empowerment and political activism amongst women. But it was a much more powerful movement than that, if you remember correctly. And so I want us to go on the ground again to Parliament this time. Christian Yale is standing by with, well, my understanding, not Christian, but Grace Hamwa Agyeman, who had joined us earlier from the Ridge Hospital, is returning with new information from there. Grace, what can you report? Grace, can you hear me?
So we are here at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, also known as the Ridge Hospital, where the former First Lady Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings was reportedly on admission before his demise. We have not spotted any family member, or be it daughter or son or any friend or relative since we got here, or even any notable government person here at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. But Kemini, I tell you, the apprehension here and the environment of curiosity here at the hospital paints a picture of the fact that there's something really going on. We've seen a few things which also paints the picture that there's something going on here. Let me tell you this. For instance, the OPD emergency department where you ordinarily walk into, there is a restriction that nobody is expected to go in through there, especially the media. We encountered the security man in front of that entrance, and he tells me that, Madam, I cannot let you in. I told him, this is a place where we ordinarily enter without any restriction. He told me that he's been instructed immediately not to allow anybody to use that entrance, not to allow anybody to go. He tells me that, Madam, we know why you are here, but we've not been instructed not to let anybody go in there, so I cannot let you go. Also, you see a few of the patients or the other people who have come here standing in pairs or two, trying to seek answers to questions on their minds on whether what they have seen or heard is also true. Some of them approach the media and ask us, Madam, we've heard that the former First Lady is on admission here and has died here. Have you heard anything of that sort? And so in as much as we haven't heard or received any official confirmation from either hospital authorities or friends or children of the former First Lady, the environment here and a few indicators point to the fact that probably she was, yes, on admission here, and the former First Lady has died, just as government has announced in their official press release to the country, as well as how other people who had any form of affiliation or association to the former First Lady have also spoken to us on our broadcast. And so, yes, that is the environment here at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, or the Ridge Hospital, where the former First Lady Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings was reportedly on admission before she died. So if you want to come to the OPD emergency, which you ordinarily walk into, you cannot do so now because of the instruction that has been given that nobody should be allowed to use that. According to the police officer I spoke to, they know why we are here, and so they've been instructed not to allow the media or anybody access into where you would ordinarily pass. And so that is here the indication we are picking on the ground here as far as the breaking news of the demise of the former First Lady Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings is concerned, Kamini.
And indeed, Grace, we are at the Ridge Hospital because when the news came through our wires, we had been informed that one, she went in on admission at the Ridge Hospital, and subsequently we also heard that, you know, that is where she died, which is why we are stationed at the Ridge Hospital. Now, Grace, from all that you have seen, you report that you get the sense that indeed that is where she took her last breath. Well, we've lost Grace over that connection, but we're working to get you more information as quickly and as accurately as possible. It's our continuing coverage of the passing of Ghana's former First Lady, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, whose death we now know occurred sometime this morning after a short illness. And we'll now connect again with Christian Yali from Parliament. In our last interaction with Christian, the bells were tolling, signaling the MPs back into the chamber. Let's find out what's happening now. Christian. Now, very well, we lost Christian as well, but we can go back into time and listen to the Iron Lady, Ghana's Margaret Thatcher, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, who's died at the age of 76. A very impactful politician who lived an exemplary life. one that not only empowered the young women who came after her, but also empowered the women within her circle at the time. We'll tell you more about her life, particularly in her last book, It Takes a Woman. But right now, let's go back to the residence where Mourns Agyeman is. Mourns. Well, we cannot connect to Mourns at this time, but when we do have our connections right, we will bring you the information from the ground. You're watching TV3. It's our continuing coverage of the death of Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, an advocate for women, an astute politician. By all standards. We can now connect with Mourns Agyeman again. Mourns.
Yeah, yes, Kameni, I can hear you.
Right. What can you report? We see that you are the residents. What are you observing?
Since 30 plus minutes, since we've been here, it's been all very quiet, but for a number of vehicles which have made its way into the residence of the Rawlings. So we have two entrances. What we're seeing in the shot right now, just behind me, is one of the major entrances. One of the entrance. There's another one just some few meters away from this one that we're seeing very clearly, which both being manned by military personnel, and there's a lot of understanding as to why military personnel are the ones manning it, because of the hierarchy of individuals and the positions they've occupied as well in the past, explains the reason why the military are the ones who've manned this place. In the short time that we've been here, there's been quite a number of vehicles that have come through. Difficulty in being able to identify who exactly has made their way here. But what I can say and confirm very strongly is that a short while ago, my colleague Christian Yali had mentioned there were attempts to reach the Member of Parliament for the Korle Klottey area, who happens to be the daughter of now late Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, the former First Lady. Her vehicle, and I say her vehicle because the sticker of Parliament, which is very common on the vehicles of Members of Parliament, made its way past me some 20 minutes ago and made its way into the residence as well. We could see who the driver was, but the backside or the passenger seat was very heavily tinted, and so it's very difficult to be able to tell. A silver Land Cruiser, I suspect and believe strongly, is Zaneto Agyeman-Rawlings, who has made her way as well into the residence. And to just try and paint a picture for persons who might not really be familiar with this particular area, it's just a short walk from the Ridge Roundabout. And from here, this particular stretch, there is an entrance. If you take your left, a little about 100 meters, you can make your way to the Ridge Hospital, where my colleague Grace Hamo Agyeman is stationed, and we're learning of that there is some tightened protocols even at the OPD services as well. And so the report suggests that her last days or her last moments were at the Ridge Hospital. You can understand why, because if she were to have been here before she was moved to the Ridge Hospital, it would just be a little over 100 meters from this residence into the Ridge Hospital, where she spent her last days. Like I mentioned, since we've been here, a number of vehicles have come through. One that I can confirm belonging to the MP for Korle Klottey has as well made its way into the residence. We're seeing yet another vehicle again. The military not really allowing us get close to be able to identify the respective individuals who are making their way here. But what I can confirm is that the vehicle belonging to the Member of Parliament, who is the daughter, Zaneto Agyeman-Rawlings, has made its way into the residence for over 20 minutes, and we are not sure exactly what it is that's happening, but as is customary, as is what happens mostly around Ghanaian families, the children will return home, families will return home, and then there will be the initial conversations. We're seeing some of the individuals as well doing the walk on foot, trying to make their way into the residence, all clad in black. And that is what it looks like at this point in time, even as the news continues to trickle in and continues to reach as many individuals as possible, persons within government, persons outside of government, family relations, amongst many other things. They will begin to make their way here and begin to want to commiserate with the family and get to understand what we get as in the only source of information as to what possibly could have been the cause is what we've seen from the government statement, which says that she died after a short illness. But as we've been here, no family member whatsoever, even the military persons or the security persons.
Very well, Mauna, I'm afraid we'll have to end it here with you. We'll come back when new information pops up. But we'll go to Parliament now, where Christian Yali is in a conversation with the board chair of the GRA, Ricketts Hagan.
The Rawlings, in terms of our mother, Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. But we were not actually sure. We didn't have a confirmation then, but we heard that there were some health issues, coma or something like that. So we were just there, and then the information came that this is what has happened. So we are actually in shock and trying to absorb the news. In fact, I just came out of the chamber. You journalists have just confirmed to me that His Excellency John Mahama had called the family. So if it's coming from the president, then obviously it means that it's been confirmed. I hear a statement has been put out there, but that's really a shock because we didn't know that our mom was actually not well. I mean, in fact, I think we've seen her recently in various functions, and she looked fit as she's always been. So it must have been something that triggered it. Short, and it's really sad. I mean, the nation has lost one of its formidable women. We know what she's done for this country over the years. I mean, we were all growing up knowing Mrs. Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings and the role she played during the revolutionary days. And when we return back to democracy, she's a formidable woman and a leader in her own right. We know the role she played before affirmative action became fashionable. We know the role she played in mobilizing women together to obviously form the 31st December movement and what they did with all those strong women, what they did. And then, of course, when we after the husband left office, her passion for the country and what she wanted to do in terms of leadership, in terms of having her own political party, getting out of the party that she gave birth to. If we can put it that.
So, leader, what do we expect Parliament to do from here? Any official visit to the family house and the rest?
Absolutely. We will be paying an official visit. In fact, we were just thinking about that. Just as you said, what informed us closing from the chamber is to be able to have the opportunity to absorb the story in full and know what we have to do and do some mobilization and see what will be the appropriate time for us to pay a visit. Don't forget that our sister, who made a statement in the chamber yesterday, Honorable Dr. Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, the statement I contributed to in my conclusion, was here yesterday, and she's one of our own, and that's her mother. So obviously we'll be making a visit to console, with her at the appropriate time. The news is fresh, it's being absorbed, mobilization is going on, and sooner than later, I think we will get to with the family.
Thank you very much. So that has been the Deputy Majority Leader, Kweku Ricketts Hagan. There are still a number of members of Parliament who are here. The first Deputy Speaker, let me try to engage you briefly. Leader, Honourable, so this is an unfortunate news. Being the second Deputy Speaker indeed, what are your immediate thoughts?
Very shocking, very tragic, but it's part of life. Nobody expected. I mean, I don't think you were expecting this news. Nobody expected, but it has happened. So we can only pray that the soul will get a restful place in the bosom of the Lord. And we also pray for strength for the children, Zinato and the siblings. I mean, God should strengthen them to stand this shocking news. It's very, very shocking. But like I said, it's something that should always tell us that this world, we are all passing. We are all passing. When you are not expecting, that's the time you'll be called by your maker. So you all have to prepare, because other than that, there's nothing that one can say.
And I know that probably you might have had a relationship with the former First Lady, the late now Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, and even the daughter who is in Parliament. How close is it?
I'm very, very, very close with Zanato. I mean, we used to be members of African Parliamentary Union together. We travel together in most of the African countries, and we do so many things together. Even yesterday I was with her, and nobody expected that this news would hit her. But like I said, it's part of life. It's something that nobody prepares for it. It will come. So we should be guided in whatever steps we take on this earth. We pray for her so.
What are some of, probably, maybe finally and briefly, the fondest memory you have to share with Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings?
Oh, I think the last meeting I had with her was when was the last event that brought her here?
That should be probably the State of the Nation address.
State of the Nation address. So after the statement, we met at the reception, and he was just tapping my shoulder that keep it up. So I think we can only pray for her. So yes, thank you. It's part of life.
It's part of life, and it is one that you do not expect happening. That has been the words of the second Deputy Speaker, Andrew Asiama Amoako. Indeed, there are still a number of members of Parliament who are around. We just still want to get the views of more of them to more or less gauge their mood and get their thoughts really and their immediate reaction to what has happened. I see Fred Agbenyo in my shot right now, trying to see if I can get him to also say a few words, and probably also coming from the same.
Well, our Christian Yale there in a conversation with a couple of MPs, including Cape Coast South MP, who makes a very significant point about women's empowerment, she being at the forefront of that before it became fashionable to embark on feminism in Ghana. And that's really instructive and important to note, because Nana Konadu was very instrumental in that 1995 Beijing Declaration. If you recall, she was part of that African Women's Caucus that stated the continent's position on that declaration, and a very significant move then as First Lady, and her ability to be able to get this country there in that spotlight. I'll tell you a bit more about her engagement with women on education, on economic freedom or liberation and empowerment. But right now, let me connect with founding member of the NPP, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo. Doc, we speak again, but on a rather sad note, on the passing of Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. How does this news come to you?
I think it is very important for her to leave the scene at this stage. I have known Nana Konadu since 1974. I remember herself and my former wife were both mates at Ashmonte School and at AN University as well. We had chat, we discussed issues until I went to detention in 1977. And I was in detention until Akufo removed Champon, and then ended up with June 4th. And after June 4th, I have been making occasional. And I think the one key thing that she did for this nation is feminine affirmative, which she played a very key role in it. I must say, I remember a tour with some other ladies then to China, where that particular meeting took place. She has been a very influential person when her husband was in power, especially in the 80s for quite a long period. At the moment, I think all I can say is I wish her a very peaceful rest in the arms of the Lord.
That familial ties you have to this family as well. So this must also be a tough reliving of that moment when Jerry John Rawlings passed, away as well. But I want to talk about Nana Konadu and what she was like in those personal moments as a woman, not as a first lady. I mean, the two are not mutually exclusive, but talk to us about what you think she was as a person.
You made mention of family, yes. Very few people know that Jerry John Rawlings was my cousin. Jerry John Rawlings' grandmother was a granddaughter of Togunya Otamapodi first. And I was also a great grandson of Togunya Otamapodi first. Now, I think what I would like to tell the children is that they should know that they have their roots in Angon. They should also know that if in future they want to get into politics like the older one has done, then they must know that they are roots to living. I don't think they have been so close to Angon at all. And I remember when our grandmother passed on, amongst those who came was only Dr. Agyeman-Rawlings, that's the first girl. That the rest, I didn't see any of them around at all.
I see. So they should remember their roots. But tell us really, how important a support was she to the political movement, political atmosphere at the time? What can you share with us?
The political atmosphere at the time was very rough. But you see, one thing is that what happened in 1979, June 4th, was not a joke. If you have been around or you've been a soldier before, what happened to officers, very senior officers, who were slaughtered, and a lot that took place. Now, you ask yourself a simple question. What role did she play? Well, I know definitely some decisions might come to her notice, but there was nothing she could have done at that time. Well, after a while, the husband himself realized that when things are going really dangerous, so he has to put a stop to the killings. But one thing I will say, and say it again, the political class of this country should be very, very careful. I've been saying it all the time. Because it appears as if the rank and file in the country are getting fed up with the political class. So Nana Konadu said she will warn the political class that they should stop destroying this nation.
Mm-hmm.
They should stop stealing. People are stealing. Naked stealing. Now, the government now in power must make sure that all those who have been caught stealing the country's money, their properties are confiscated, and that is an easy thing to do. It can be traced very easily.
I see. So
and then secondly, all that they have taken must be retraced. Those of them who have left the country, it is their responsibility to make sure that they are brought to justice in this country. Without justice, there will be no peace in Ghana. Thank you.
Very well. Thank you so much for talking to us. Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo is the statesman and founding member of the NPP, who's just been sharing his thoughts on the passing of Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, Ghana's first former First Lady, if you understand what I mean. She was the very first one in the Fourth Republic between the period 1992 to 2000. I was telling you how much she believed in economic liberation, and we'll do a bit more on that. But let's head back to Parliament, where Christian Yale is on standby with some more reactions from the House. What will you see now, however, visuals when Dr. Zanetta Rawlings, the Member of Parliament for Klotekole, and Kimathi Rawlings, her brother, Nana Konedu's son, so to speak, in the company of some family members, visited the Jubilee House to officially inform government about the passing of their mother, our beloved First Lady, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. Shortly after this meeting, we know that the government released its first communication on this, where they condoled with the family. They also made clear for the first time that her demise had happened earlier this morning. What you see now are live visuals from the residence of the Rawlingses. Spio Gabra, who worked with the Rawlingses closely. He served in the government of Jerry John Rawlings. He's there, obviously, to condole with the family upon hearing the news. He is a member of the NDC. It's one of the first visits we are getting on camera. Remember that our correspondent on the ground, Maureen Agbeta, had told us that security had cordoned off the area close to the family home. And so we couldn't bring you any visits. This is the first one we are getting on camera, and is of Spio Gabra, who's visiting the family. So there you have it. You're seeing now again that interaction between the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, Emmanuel Kofi Amabua, and Dr. Zanetta Rawlings, obviously condoling and consoling her as they visited the President, John Dramani Mahama, to inform him of the passing of Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. I've been joined in the studio now by my colleague, Alfred Okanse. If you just joined us, it's our continuing coverage of the passing of Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. Now, because we've just seen live pictures from the residence of the Rawlingses, we'll go there again and speak to Mawena Egbeta, find out what exactly we have missed since Spio Gabra entered the compound. Mawena, what can you report from there? We saw earlier that Spio Gabra had just made his way to the Rawlings residence. What more can you tell us?
Few words from you. How did you hear the news, and you've come to the family residence as well?
This morning I woke up, I came to Parliament as usual. On the floor of Parliament, And I saw people gathering, and it's like it was a graveyard vine. And somebody called me and said, "This is what has happened." It was a very bad news. So because of even that, Parliament, though we sat, we couldn't exhaust everything, and we have to come and share our condolences. That is why I'm here. Others will be coming.
So we're expecting a lot more in terms of your colleagues from Parliament coming here.
I thought they are even here because we were all asked, we agree coming here. So I thought they've even gotten here.
That's the majority caucus.
The majority caucus. The majority caucus.
All right, sure. Thank you. So
that we never expected, but who are we to judge? It has happened. So we will take it like that.
Thank you. Thank you. That's the Member of Parliament for the English Yamanfru constituency, the Honourable speaking to us as well. And so what we understand is that a lot more members of Parliament are expected to make their way here. In the short while since we've been here, even in fact just behind us, there's another vehicle that's pulling up. Let's get a few words from Ekospio Gabra as well, who's speaking to the media.
How did you receive this news?
Well, I think if the news is true, because until the family confirms it in a manner that some of us will accept it, we still take this to be unconfirmed, even though I believe the presidency has come out with a statement. It's an unexpected development, but all of us in our various families and lives have similar incidents where a close friend, a close relative may also depart. And so when such incidents take place, we often are left with grief and all kinds of emotions run into our heads. Eventually, in many cases, the truth comes out and we come to terms with it. At this time, I've not come to terms with this truth, so I can only express my grief and my sorrow if it turns out to be true, and wish the family and all of us in Ghana and the whole of Africa really our condolences if it turns out to be true.
Doc, what principles and, if you like, moral, standards of the former First Lady as a key member of the NDC are you able to most reflect on?
There's a lot to reflect on, a lot to be said at the right time. But her greatness has not been fully appreciated, partly because of the circumstances in which NDC lost power and the unfortunate developments that took place after we lost power with her 31st December Women's Movement being investigated in a very unfriendly manner by the Kufuor government at the time. The fact that she had to go to court for many years, and even her late former husband, President Rawlings, also had to be in court, sometimes standing for many hours. It was a low moment in Ghana's democratic development. But NDC has won power and lost power, and we've seen at different times when the former President Rawlings was also alive, he tried to restrain himself with many of the negative things that are going on in our country and which were going on at the time he was alive. And I believe the former First Lady also was very mindful of those things. But as I said, the time will come for us to speak at length. So at this time, I'll just plead with you to allow us and the rest of the country to verify actually what has happened. And as I've said, if it is true, then obviously we will have to mourn her in a very special way. So thank you very much.
Thank you. That's Dr. Ekospio Gabra speaking to us. We've just seen as well other members of parliament as well come through. Honourable, if you could as well, just share a few thoughts with us, how the news got to you. You were in the Chamber of Parliament when the news came?
Well, I was in my office getting ready for the chamber when my RA prompted me, and it hit me because only yesterday I was speaking about her with Honourable Zenato. I'll usually ask her, how's mommy doing? And she'll say, oh, mommy is doing good. So yesterday when we left the chamber, we walked out together. And I was inquiring about her. And Honorable said she was good. So it really hit me and almost got me polarized. But hey, in this life, that is a huge lesson for all of us. I found out later that she was actually scheduled for a program with GTV this morning. And so it just tells how, indispensable we are, that at God's own time, He just does what He wants to do and we have no solution to it. She is a very dear one to us, especially those of us Ghanaian women who grew up in the late 80s to the 90s. We walked her talk. I describe her as the woman of women. She made Ghanaian women aware of who we were and what potentials we had and what we could do to harness those potentials. She didn't just leave it there. She also took practical steps to sort of actualize some of the issues that she raised. For example, if she went around providing day care centers, so women, our market women, our mothers, could leave their children there and go to the market. There is nothing like empowerment if you don't enable it. So she enabled the Ghanaian woman to know that yes, we can make children, but there's also a way in which that should not stop us from doing what we have to do. If you recall, we had by the fireside, or even as adults, we all got hooked to by the fireside. It's all gone. We had all these programs at Gary making factories, palm oil making factories. You go around the country, you see critical and concrete footsteps of Her Excellency Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings in empowering women. She went everywhere from Accra to Lambusie, from Accra to Paga, from Accra to Axim. She was there. She became a constant feature of our life. And I don't think that is a coincidence. On Tuesday, I attended a session of the Canadian Parliamentary Centre in Ghana, monitoring and evaluating their program on women. And I couldn't help but mention Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings on Tuesday at the Coconut Grove Hotel. And today is Thursday, just 2 days later, she's no more. So for me, it's more than just losing her. I think Ghana has lost someone that, got to Parliament in 2021. She was a constant feature in Parliament. State of the Nation's address, she's there. Swearing in of the president, she's there. She never missed any state event. It tells you the passion, the character of this woman who loved Ghana more than anything. At the last State of the Nation in Parliament, she was there. So it's a big loss to Ghana today. We grieve with the family. Our thoughts are with them, but we also know what we've lost. We're hoping and praying that this will enable a reset, going back to open the chapters, look at what she did and see where we can pick it up from and continue with the agenda. And when I was in Beijing on the last week, on the, I think 14th or so, commemorating the 30th anniversary of the Beijing conference, she was the one in mind because she brought Beijing to us in Ghana. There's no way that history can be written without her name in gold. May Allah Almighty have mercy on her soul.
Thank you as well for sharing those thoughts with us. As another member of Parliament on the side of the NDC, who's just been speaking to us as well on the latest. We understand that the majority members of Parliament are expected to be here a lot later, as we've spoken to 2 NDC MPs already, who've been here, and a lot more are expected in terms of coming through. That's the Honourable Zuira, the Salaga South Member of Parliament as well. She's made her way inside now. I must mention that in the last hour or so, since we've been here, there's been police presence that's come through from the headquarters of the Ghana Police Service. There was a vehicle, a pickup vehicle, a truck, which came with police officers numbering more than 12. Some have made their way inside. There are others as well who have stationed just opposite the residence as well. Some of the senior officers, as we saw, have made their way inside. And I can get a sneak peek from where I am inside. And they are, a number of them are stationed inside. We haven't seen any barricades as well come through just as yet. But earlier, when I provided the updates as to Zaneto being in the residence and having arrived, in that time, she, along with what we suspect will be other relations or other siblings, have moved out from here. My suspicion, which I have to just cross-check with my colleague who is at the Ridge Hospital, is that they possibly, and this is not anything I'm saying with confirmation, but they headed towards the Ridge Hospital area. You could make a turn towards Ridge. You could make a turn towards the newly put together Ministry of Health as well, and so cannot tell exactly in which direction they went. But I must mention that they made their way again outside of the facility. But for now, 2 members of Parliament, a former trade minister, and a senior member of the NDC, they've made their way here. Salaga South Member of Parliament, English Yamanfrom Member of Parliament, all MPs on the majority side. We got confirmation from the English Yamanfrom MP that the expectation is that the House sitting has been suspended. The majority members will be coming here as well, and we'll continue to monitor and provide details.
Moina Egbeta there with that report. Moina, thank you so much for bringing us that. We've just returned from the residence of the Rawlingses. As more visitations happen, we will take you there. In the meantime, let's head back to Parliament, where Christian Yale is on standby.
Guan, what are your immediate thoughts really about what has happened?
Well, when I first heard the news, I didn't believe that it was true, because not too long ago I saw her mother in Kumasi when Asante Ima passed on. And as usual, she was looking very healthy and strong. There was no indication that she was not feeling well. And I didn't hear that she was at the hospital at all until the death was announced. But God knows everything. The Bible said in all things we give thanks to God. All we can say at this point is to extend our condolences to the children in particular and the entire family and the Ghanaian fraternity. She has played her role. When we talk about the Fourth Republic, I don't think that we can write the history of the Fourth Republic without the name of Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, especially the National Democratic Congress and even the PNDC. We know the role that she played when it came to mobilization of women in particular, conscientizing women and getting them to get actively involved in our politics. And so she has played her role, she has contributed, she has served this country very well. I believe that she deserves a state burial. I believe that we need to give her a befitting burial that she rightfully deserves. She has played her role, and posterity will remember her kindly.
Talking about playing her role, what are some of the fondest memories you have of her, and maybe even the personal relationship that you share with her?
Well, you remember that at the first December movement, And I always remember with her red beret that she wore with the women, Madam Sharia Ite, who was a vice and all that. They moved around the entire country, teaching women how to prepare soap, how to prepare basic economic activity that will make life meaningful for them. She was very, very integral and very part, setting up of daycares across the length and breadth of this country so that the young people can get education from that very early stage. She was very much involved, and one of the things about she's very, very particular with colors. You dare not get close to Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings wearing any color if you're an NDC person who looks NPP. If you wear anything that is blue, anything that is, she will question you, why are you wearing this? You know, she's very passionate about the thing that she does. I think that she has served well, she has contributed very well. She's a strong character. If you're looking for a woman with a strong character, somebody who believes in a conviction, who will run and die for a conviction, that is Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. And I think we all remember her for the role that she played. Thank you.
I don't have your contacts. That's also officiality. Have they taken us off now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bro, 0244. 0244.
Well, now we apologize for that, but we've just heard from the SAL MP, Fred Agbenyo, there in that conversation with Christian Yali. Back here in the studio is Alfred Okanse, who's just joined me. Alfred, what a day, right? What a day.
Indeed. We woke up today, obviously, with no plans of having to deal with a very heavy news like this. But just as Fred Agbenyo said, the history of the Fourth Republic of Ghana cannot be written without the name Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings being acknowledged in there. She's inked her name in the history of the Fourth Republic, not only in the lives of women, but in the body politics of our country. And that clearly is reflective of the kind of response and the reaction that we've seen from the many people. I was listening to you talk to Reverend Dr. Joyce who at some point worked quite closely with her.
Absolutely.
You know, and the testimony that she gives clearly reflects a resounding impact that she's had over the period. And she described her as a chief organizer. Because really, if you look at the impact that she had, right from the PNDC to NDC 1, NDC 2, when the late Jerry John Rawlings was president of the Republic of Ghana and flag bearer of the NDC, nobody will be wrong to say that there hasn't been any organization of the women front in the NDC like her after Jerry Rawlings exited the front of the NDC as its leader. I think that what probably could have been done was to ensure that whatever she laid, the solid foundation she laid, would have been also built upon over time. But clearly, her organizational skills cannot be watered down. She's had a great impact and influence on the NDC and then also on our body politics as a nation. I was just thinking about the fact that maybe, just maybe, the family was just planning to commemorate the memory of the late Jerry Rawlings 5 years on.
5 years on.
Because he died on November 12, 2020. And so in the next 3 weeks, it would have been 5 years that the late Jerry Rawlings left us. And then now, today, unfortunately, we're having to also deal with the loss of the woman of his life.
Yeah.
I've heard a number of people you've spoken to talk about the bond and the love between the two of them.
Two of them, yeah.
Certainly that will continue in the afterlife.
In the afterlife. Sure.
After today. And I know that while we are mourning, certainly some angels and the late Jerry Rawlings will be happy, right? Receiving
such a beautiful
soul, the love of his life. And we're going to go back to Parliament now. Some members of Parliament have been talking to Christian Yali. We'll hear them now.
I think it's a sad day for this country, given the role she has played individually, but the family that she comes from, they have dominated Ghanaian politics for some time, and they still have the legacy in Parliament, projecting the development of this country. And she, when she was First Lady, was remarkably known for her women empowerment initiatives, the creation of women groups and empowering them financially, politically, but also courtesy-wise. So I think it is a sad day for the country. And we definitely miss his contributions, his political activeness and assertiveness. She has single-handedly contributed to the development and expansion of the frontiers of gender politics in this country as a First Lady, but also as somebody who single-handedly became a flag bearer of political parties. So I think she has made that kind of exposure, breaking the barriers and the glass ceilings in our politics, given how patriarchal that it is. So I think we'll celebrate her for leading the way, for creating opportunity for other women to realize that they are more powerful than they can imagine, and to get actively involved in body politics. If you look at the political empowerment of women, you can never discuss that issue without mentioning her name and recognizing her. So we definitely miss her for her contribution to the development and empowerment of women in our body politic. All right, thank you too. Very grateful.
I don't have enough information of what's happening. Okay. Tragic. That is what I would say, because life, it tells you that life is short. Today we are here, tomorrow we are not. So there's no need for hate. There's no need for struggles. You just have to laugh and then take it easy. Because for this year, I think we've lost lots of people from this parliament and young ones outside, even from the constituencies and national and all that. So I think we should all take life easy and then love each other, because you don't know what tomorrow will bring. You wake up one day, everybody's fine. The next day, because we were just in the office getting ready to come in here, and then the news came and I was like, oh my God. So I'm sad. I wish my sister, Honorable Senator, well, I'm just saying that you should take her, God should give her strength through this time, because it's not easy to lose parents, whether mom or dad. It's not easy. So that's what I'll say. Thank you.
Oh, more reactions from Parliament there. We'll continue to go in and out of Parliament, the residents and the Ridge Hospital, as we get new information for you. Still continuing coverage of the demise of our former First Lady, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. And with me in the studio is Alfred Okansi. And Alfred, you were talking about the impact she's had on the political life of the NDC.
Indeed. Rightly so, because you see, if you look at the 31st December Women's Movement, it was not just a movement even for the NDC. As a matter of fact, you have some women within the NPP now who previously were members of the 31st December Women's Movement. And so that movement went beyond or transcended beyond the boundaries of just the political party that she associated herself with. And so in her latter days, you saw her in the company of very senior members of the New Patriotic Party, because she became that figure who...
she had become a stateswoman.
Just the NDC.
Right.
Exactly. And with the formation of the National Democratic Party and all that came with it, we all do know. History is clearly there for us all to see the point that she fell out with the then leadership of the NDC, and I'm proud to the 2016 elections decided to just put together the NDP. If you speak to persons within the NDC, the view that the formation of that party was one that obviously raised some concerns for them, because the P only replaced the C in the ideological representation of the party in the name. It was just a Congress that had been changed to a party. And then you had the wife of the founder of the NDC now founding a party of her own, going into an election with the party that her husband founded.
Right.
And Jerry Rawlings was alive at the time. But guess what? That's where we saw his maturity in love.
Well,
you know.
Well, you could say that, right? You could say that. But you know, Alfred, when you look around the world, there are only a few first ladies who have stood on their 2 feet after the 10 years of their husbands as presidents or prime ministers. And Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings will top the list of those first ladies.
Indeed.
Because her charisma lived on. Her influence in Ghana's political space lived on even after she had moved on from the presidency. And you can say, we can go back to the 31st December Women's Movement and the kind of activism that she had done over that period. You know, by the 1990s, Alfred, we were already seeing the women's groups across this country.
Absolutely.
I was saying that earlier, you know, in the beginning of the coverage, that nearly all regions, not nearly, all regions had the women's movement, and nearly all districts across the country had the women's movement. We are talking about nearly 1,000 of these women groups across the country.
Absolutely.
One of the things that she did that even as a young child impressed me a lot was that the daycare centers that she built, they were not just to raise money for charity.
There's one located around the Labadi, a place called Kojo Sardin.
Yeah.
That area, you had one of those
daycare centers
there.
Yeah, right.
And then those soap making groups that she formed.
Absolutely.
There were also palm oil
There were,
groups
you know,
that she formed.
Absolutely, the Gari processing.
Gari
In fact, it
processing.
was during her time that I got to see captured in national news interacting with these women. But Alfred, it tells you that she was such a visionary because, listen, for her to want to put up those daycare centers together with the women who helped her at that time,
Yes.
I mean, she had a privileged life. Perhaps she will have nannies to help her with the children.
She's a royal.
But then she noticed also that for the other women who would not have the opportunity of having nannies or trusted people to leave their children with, but had careers to go to, which included going to the markets, the women in the market and all that. She created a safe environment for them to be able to have their children nurtured while they led the economic aspects of their lives. And for me, for her to do that 3 decades back, it's just so marvelous. It marvels me. Very progressive
And
to know that,
forward-thinking,
you know, very forward thinking, that she had that mindset together with all the women that, you know, assisted her at that time to do that for other women. In the 2000s, we are seeing a lot of emphasis on rural-urban migration and emphasis on the young girls who are leaving the northern region to the southern part of the country. But guess what? Nana Konadu has started long time.
Absolutely.
In those periods, in the 1992s to the 2000s, when she was the active first lady of the Fourth Republic, she worked with these headquarters.
Indeed.
That is where the soap making things come in. That is when the shea butter processing comes in. That is when all these vocational training for young people, young girls especially in the northern region, also comes in. And so to know that today it is all charity organizations are starting to do that, but it was one woman who led a group of women to do this. And that woman is Nana Konadu. She lived.
She lived, indeed. You couldn't have put it any better than this. Honestly, there are many people who look back and celebrate her. They're not mourning that much today, celebrating her for the impact that she's made. I mean, she leveraged, in my view, the charisma, the impact, the influence, and the metal of the man Jerry John Rawlings we're talking about, to also not hide behind his or under his shadow as the towering figure that the late Jerry Rawlings was, but also took advantage of her association and brought out what she has to offer. So there was nothing like Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings was
just
only
the wife,
just the first lady. She brought out the best of her, not just because she was associated with the late Jerry Rawlings. You can talk about Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings as a personality distinct of the late Jerry Rawlings, and you will have a lot to say. That's why there's so much to talk about, and we can spend the whole day talking about her, because she's been one of the most effective first ladies we've had in the history of this country. No doubt. Nobody can contest that, especially because of what you have talked about, and then even her transition into full-blown politics, forming her own party and so on. So if you assess her life, she's transitioned from a royal family to associating with the politics of this country, not just as a wife, but also the leader of a very effective movement, that not just a movement of women for a political cause, but also for the greater good. I think that most of the time we remember the 31st December movement with the limited memory of how much it contributed to the NDC's fortunes and the PNDC's fortunes.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more to it. And you've said it so right. And the kind of impact she had on women, the skills that she gave to women to be able to live, contribute economically to their homes as well. So that, for me, had laid a certain template that we've seen other first ladies also take their own personality. Because, you cannot necessarily use her as a benchmark to assess others. Everybody leverages their strength and their personality to bring out what is the best for them, and then also for the greater good of the people that they're leading. Until her ascension to, or the late Jerry Rawlings becoming president, not much was heard of first ladies of the previous heads of states that we have had. Okay? That's a fact. But after 1992, 96, 2000, because of what she had done, when the former president John Agyekum Kufuor came into power, there was also the focus on Theresa Kufuor. There was also then the focus.
She brought attention.
Absolutely.
To the
office of
the first
lady. And what the office of the first lady can do as well, complementing the work of the president.
Right.
That is the kind of impact that she also brought to our governance structure as a country.
Absolutely.
And then beyond that, it brought up this whole conversation about the women participation in politics. Now that's a big topic globally.
A huge advocate.
We reference the Beijing conference, but for me, beyond the Beijing conference and the declaration on the Beijing conference, we had a figure like Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings already embodying that call, making that clarion call for a lot more participation of women in politics.
Absolutely. And Alfred, when you talked about her charisma and her influence, it just reminded me and brought to mind a scene from, I think in the heading into the 1996 elections. You know what Rawlings is like already when he goes to any place at all. The crowd and the cheering and the jeering, right? Where I grew up, Rawlings had come, he had his turn with the community. And then I think, if I remember correctly, shortly after his visit was Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. I had no idea who she was because, I was just a young little thing. But then the screams in my community, the crying of the women, and tears of joy, right?
Absolutely.
The happiness they exuded, the noise they made for this woman, the crowd that followed her when she came to Ashaiman. Oh dear Lord. It just spoke volumes, all right, about the kind of charm,
absolutely,
the charisma that she carried. Because then I was so little, so I couldn't see her, but when I managed to peep, I saw this woman. She wasn't a big thing.
Sure.
She was petite, and she had her headgear, her signature headgear. And I never forgot that scene. It was so powerful for me as a girl child then, that wow, so all this crowd, because when Rawlings came, I had seen him. When he came to clean the gutters in Ashaiman, I had seen him, right? But to see Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings also with that crowd, I knew where I wanted to get to from that moment. It was such a powerful moment for me. And I never got the chance to meet her to tell her the story, but to know that she existed and that moment existed for me to see. Oh dear. I hold that memory dearly.
It's the sincerity in the expression that we see right there. And for me, we can continue to talk about her and the impact and what she's done over the period. In fact, if you recall, whenever the late Jerry Rawlings addressed a crowd or a gathering ahead of, especially the 1996 election, she would come as well with her red beret. She had this red beret, that she would also take her turn to address the women.
Right.
Because she was living the kind of life that reflects the image and personality of the man that she loved so much.
Absolutely.
So I hear Dr. Ekospi-Gabra talk fondly about her because Ekospi-Gabra is one of few politicians within the Rawlings administration that had two ministries, as a matter of fact, and then also serving as an ambassador to the United States.
Absolutely, Alfred. I'll come back and then you finish that story. But let's head back to town now. On the ground is Grace Hamu-Agyeman, who's now at the 31st December Women's Market, with details from there as well. Grace, how are the women taking this?
2000. One of the many things that she will be known for was the establishment of the 31st December Women's Movement. And it was established for education, entrepreneurial empowerment, and also for political participation for women. It is in that vein that the 31st December Women's Market was established. We are currently here at the 31st December Women's Market, which plays host to over thousands of market women. Some of them, or a section of them, are already in mourning clothes, wearing red and black as a means of honoring the memory of the late Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. I'll speak with a few of them on how they heard the news and what they'll remember the Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings for. Pamocha, where they are more about TV3, so yeah, I'm Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, new one in tea, and a bahano more, and then Pamocha. Let me start with you, then I'll come with you. Please, how did you hear that she has died? You can speak here.
Oh, actually, we also have a funeral here in the market. And so we were doing it and we just had the news. We had the news that our mother, Konadu, just kicked the bucket. And we couldn't believe it. It was unbelievable. And in fact, I just don't know. Because she built the market. She built this market that we're selling. I don't know. It's so sad.
So some of them are already shedding tears because of the demise of the first lady. But also,
etia ni se ya woni ye beka se na yankasa no ye wo eye dada wa ha e na ye enti etia ni se wo beka kire ye na ye ya because ye maame no na omo be de market e di si wo ho e na ye so ye nyemu atena enti ye ya se ye maame no efi.
Now, how would you remember her?
In fact, she built this market And even there is a nursery school here that she built, that people are still going to school right here today, up to date. And so we will always remember her for her good deeds. Thank you.
Dia medeka maame na ye me dia me hu no asante hene no ni nua ne wo no wu ye no ne ne makọ obi o mo kwachi asante hene no na me de share maame no dia me de beka ne se oni ne kunu na age market e de esi ho na enne yenso yenye mu a yenso yete market mu a ye adwuma enye ono anka market yenye enne se market kura no e fa ha sei omo so omo ton enti asem ne wo court enti ye person ka maame ne te ase a na nka obem na se ne omo ton market no na maame no so beka bi Emma yen e wo 31st market maame ne de ye beka ni de bia because ye maame ye beka no pa
31st market edowa ka ne na ko edu egbo wo yala mi ni mo de gbo ele je di si gbele ni ko edu akenga wu ametanu ni ndc gbele ni le we gbo ni mo na wo dum ti wo celebrate ni next week wo ba fule wo fe yala next week wo afule ni wo ta ti so ne no wa anu e ko edu egbo de wa wa enjoy wo yala ke wo ya fo fe double no wo fo ko edu wo kale na 31st ne wo yo mi e 31st wo yo mi e next week ne fe 31st ne still a machine ka clinic ne fe wo ya jo lololo no wo yin pa enu ni won joy wo jala le chata e wo de ni wo me ne e wala mi ne ta si enu wo ba chele wo mi e la wete na mo ba che
acha uswe mame no o ka ne sen
mi kai no so ye rolling siri NDC enti owu ye ya pa enti ye ma busiafo dwe
acha uswe
me kind so ye rolling siri.
So it is
I know because maame no ayo babeli ma maame no your babeli ma enti ye be kai maame ne de bia te se de ye kai ne kunu no Rawlings no ye be kai maame ne de bia enti ye sre wurade se edwuma maame na be ya ma Ghana no onko so no onje no wa hememu no maame no onya baby ntina ye da mo.
You've been hearing some of the market women at the 31st December Women's Movement talking to us about what Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, the role she played in getting this market for them and how it's been a source of livelihood for most of them. What is Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings? We're free.
Oh, I can't already pa. My market no be cost to come.
Okay, so you've been hearing some of these women. They tell me that the establishment of this market has been of great help to them because it's been their source of livelihood. She's also built a nursery school for them as well as a hospital. And the demise of the woman is going to be of great loss to them. Pacho, will be of great loss. Damn, Pacho, you say, Ushe atade koko any tuntum. Now, it's a yama make Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. The market team na oye adwuma na maame na free mu. Pacho, maame no o kai ne say.
Oh, o strong woman. O strong. O kuma me ema. Nti o strong woman. The man rest in peace. Na me finish baby pa. E o yesu dem. Ana he. O ma besusu ase me o mba ye e bubu fia copim down no. O mo ye da abrosan. Ye ono o jun ma o si ye. You see market ye ni sika almost here ye be hopeless nti mum fam to say ye my ye mbubu market here because ehia for ye dross wa ye stop back on 5 billion e ko fast no ase no ye ni bi nti anu tu nti ya so che ne ba no zenator and I see you nti ye na asem sad news ya ba nti mum fa no so nka ho number
Okay. So you've been hearing from the women in the 31st December Women's Market here in Accra. They have been talking to us about how shocked they are because of the death of the founder of this market, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, the former First Lady. And they say they will fondly remember her because of her good deeds and how the establishment of this market has been of a great source of livelihood also for them. So we've been coming to you live from the 31st December women's movement here in Accra.
Grace Hamwa Agyeman there, bringing us that report from the 31st December markets. The women obviously are, many of them just hearing the news and are responding to the death of Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. And like you've heard many of the members of the NDC say, our mother, our mother. And, you know, we've gone through that, Alfred. You know, her significance to the party, the role she's played over the years for women, for the political space, in education, name it, everywhere her thumbprint or imprint will be as far as, you know, the work she's done is concerned. And what a day to know that on this day, only about 3 weeks or so to her birthday, November 17th.
Yeah.
And you were telling me earlier that, you know, on November 12th, that would have been the 5th anniversary.
5 years since the late Jerry Rawlings left us all. And some persons close to the family had earlier hinted to me of record. And I think that it is not one that will be injurious to the family. Now, if I did say that, I mean, it would have just been expected that 5 years since the passing of the late Jerry Rawlings, something would have been put together, obviously, to celebrate his memory. So, yes, indeed, it was the case that there was something that was in the works to celebrate the memory of the late Jerry Rawlings 5 years on that he left us. And then just 3 weeks before that November 12th day, that would have been exactly 5 years since the late Jerry Rawlings left us. We're talking about the death of the woman that he loved, right? So even though we are all mourning, I indicated earlier that you never know. For the late Jerry Rawlings, who is in the afterlife, you never know what the universe had planned. They would have a reunion of their love in the afterlife.
Right.
Maybe for that 5 years that they were planning as a family to, as it were, honor the memory of the late Jerry Rawlings, as they've done every year since his passing in 2020. But look, I indicated earlier that there are a number of people whom we will hear, or we have heard earlier today, talk about their memory of Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. One such person would respect his opinion about the woman we've lost today is Dr. Ekospio Gabra, because of his close relationship and work, I mean the working relationship and beyond even the work that he had with the late Jerry Rawlings. I mean, having served as an ambassador to the United States from 1994 to 1997, he also served as a minister in charge of education at some point as well. And in fact, he credits the late Jerry Rawlings with the kind of revolution that he, Ekospio Gabra, led in the revenue collection of our country. When we talk about the current GRA and the structure and in fact the objective, the focus of the Revenue Authority, you can credit Ekospio Gabra at the time. And then when I spoke to him, he indicated that, look, the late Jerry Rawlings called him in the presence of Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings and said, at the time, people were complaining about the tax system that was unfriendly and also not balanced and even to ensure that the poor pay less and the rich pay more. So he commissioned him, and Nana Konadu indicated that she represents the voices of the women in the market. And she was not living in the castle, disconnected from the realities of the market women. Because that was her home. And you heard the market women say it, that it's not for nothing that a market was built by her to ensure that all what she had done in the 31st December Women's Movement will bring together a group of women who would continue that legacy. So, talking about how the tax system was impacting on the women, there's the traders who were selling at the time, and the tax that Dr. Konadu was giving, he had to go back on the ground, interact and connect with the people to find out exactly how this tax system was impacting on them. He came back into the policy room with the direct response and feedback of the people.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of policy formulation shift that we didn't see for some time, where you would have policymakers sit in a room, think, and not really take feedback or the input of the people.
Who will be directly impacted.
Right?
Yeah.
That is what you see, because we talked about. And so when they rolled out the campaign to get people along to understand why there's a need to pay tax and so on, it was one that went through smoothly with least resistance. And we have seen it grow over time till now. So this is not a woman who didn't know what she had to do to contribute to the development of the country that she was a first lady of. And we've said it time without number, that to the extent that there are many people who can point to institutions that have lived beyond her tenure of the first lady or as first lady, that tells you the impact that she had. Because you and I measure the effectiveness and the efficiency of the inclusion, the contribution of people, not only when they are in office, but after you leave office. What you did it last enough beyond your tenure?
Yeah.
That is what we can also look at, because we're talking about 31st December today, and there are many people who can still reference how that impacted on them. And these market women are a perfect example of what we're talking about. So it's about building on the legacy that both the late Jerry John Rawlings and the late now Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings have left. And you indicated of air that imagine if Dr. Zaneto Agyeman-Rawlings had not got into politics.
Probably be the end of
the legacy of the Rawlings is in the
politics.
body politics of this country.
Yeah.
Would not be also the one that would be
Probably
continued.
would have ended. Yeah.
Okay, but we're talking